Don't sign anything yet. Please." The realtor's whisper was so quiet I almost missed it as she set the contract on the mahogany table in front of me. Her hand trembled slightly as she placed the pen beside it, and for just a second, her eyes met mine with an intensity that made my heart skip. I blinked at her, confused. We were sitting in the sunlit conference room of Berkshire Properties, the most prestigious real estate firm in Charleston. My daughter Jennifer sat to my right, her husband Bradley to my left, both wearing encouraging smiles. This was supposed to be a simple signing, transferring the deed of my family estate to Jennifer before I moved into the assisted living facility they'd chosen for me. A clean, organized transition, they'd called it. "Mom?" Jennifer's voice pulled my attention away from the realtor, whose nameplate read, "Amanda Chen, Senior Agent." "Is something wrong?" "No, sweetheart. I looked back at Amanda, but her expression had shifted to professional neutrality, as if that whispered warning had never happened. Maybe I'd imagined it. At 68, with my husband gone 3 years now, perhaps I was more scattered than I wanted to admit. Nothing. Just a big moment, you know. "Of course it is." Bradley reached over and patted my hand, his touch making my skin crawl in a way I'd never quite been able to explain. "But think how freeing this will be, Margaret. No more worrying about property taxes, maintenance, upkeep, just relaxation at Meadowbrook Gardens." Meadowbrook Gardens. The assisted living facility with the botanical gardens and art classes. It had seemed lovely when we toured it last month, though something about the rush to get me moved in had felt off. Jennifer insisted it was because they had a waiting list, that this opening was lucky. I picked up the pen, and Amanda suddenly dropped her portfolio, papers scattering across the floor. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." She knelt down quickly, and I instinctively bent to help her. That's when I saw it, a small piece of notepaper pressed into my palm as our hands met under the table. Her eyes locked with mine for a fraction of a second. "Trust me," they seemed to say. "Let me help," Jennifer said, starting to rise. No, please," Amanda said quickly, already gathering the papers. "I've got it. Professional hazard. Should invest in a better bag." She laughed, but it sounded forced. Within seconds, she was back in her seat, all smiles. Now, where were we? I'd managed to slip the note into my cardigan pocket without anyone seeing. My heart hammered against my ribs. What was going on? "The signature line, Mrs. Hartwell," Bradley said, pointing with his perfectly manicured finger. "Just there, and initial here." I stared at the pages. The words seemed to swim before my eyes. Transfer of property, full ownership, revocable trust, power of attorney. My hands felt cold. Could I use the restroom first?" I asked. Jennifer's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. "Mom, we've been here for 20 minutes already. Can't you just—" "Of course, Mrs. Hartwell," Amanda interrupted smoothly. "Down the hall, second door on the left. Take your time." I stood on shaky legs and made my way out of the conference room. In the bathroom, I locked the door and pulled out the note with trembling fingers. The handwriting was hurried but clear. "This isn't what you think. Check page 7, paragraph 3. You're signing over everything, not just the house. They've changed the beneficiaries on your accounts too. I have proof. Don't sign. Fake illness if you have to. I'll explain everything. A." The walls seemed to close in around me. I read it again and again. My reflection in the mirror looked pale, older than I remembered. I pulled out my reading glasses and studied the note once more. Everything, not just the house. I thought about the past 6 months since Jennifer and Bradley had moved back to Charleston. How helpful they'd been. How Jennifer had insisted on organizing my financial papers. How she'd accompanied me to the bank just to make sure everything was in order. How many documents had I signed, trusting my own daughter. My daughter. The little girl I'd rocked to sleep, whose scraped knees I'd bandaged, whose graduation had made me cry with pride. That daughter wouldn't do this, would she? But that note. I splashed cold water on my face, my mind racing. Amanda Chen had no reason to lie. She'd never met me before today. Why would she risk her career, her reputation, to warn a stranger? Unless it was true. I steadied myself against the sink. Think, Margaret. What do you do now? When I returned to the conference room, I pressed my hand against my chest and gave a small gasp. I'm so sorry. I'm feeling quite dizzy. Could we possibly reschedule? I think I might need to lie down. Jennifer's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Frustration, anger, before settling on concern. Mom, are you okay? Just one of my spells, I said, using the vague health complaints I'd mentioned occasionally. The doctor said it might be my blood pressure medication. We're so close to being done, Bradley said. And there was an edge to his voice I'd never heard before. Maybe just sign quickly, and then. Mr. Morrison, if Mrs. Hartwell isn't feeling well, we absolutely should reschedule, Amanda said firmly. These documents will still be valid next week. Health comes first. Of course, Jennifer said, though her lips pressed into a thin line. Come on, Mom. I'll drive you home. Actually, Amanda interjected, standing up. I'm heading that direction. I'd be happy to drive Mrs. Hartwell. You two probably have to get back to work, don't you? I could see the calculation in Jennifer's eyes. Finally, she nodded. If you're sure it's no trouble. None at all. 15 minutes later, I sat in Amanda Chen's silver Mercedes, my hands clasped tightly in my lap as she drove not toward my house, but toward a small coffee shop on the outskirts of town. I know you have questions, she said quietly. I know you're probably terrified, but please, just listen. We sat in a corner booth, 2 cups of coffee growing cold between us as Amanda pulled out a folder from her bag. A real one this time, organized and thick with papers. I need you to understand something first, she began. I've been a realtor for 15 years. I pride myself on integrity. What I'm about to show you, I could lose my license for this, but I can't let this happen. Why? My voice cracked. Why do you care what happens to me? Her eyes filled with tears. Because 3 years ago, someone did this exact thing to my mother, and I didn't catch it in time. By the time we realized what was happening, her own sister had drained her accounts and put her in a state facility. Mom died 6 months later, broke and broken-hearted. She wiped her eyes roughly. I swore I'd never let it happen to someone else if I could stop it. My throat tightened. Tell me everything. Amanda opened the folder. Your daughter contacted me 2 months ago about listing your property. But she also asked about something else. She wanted to know if I knew any estate lawyers who could work quickly and quietly. That was my first red flag. She was very specific about the type of documents she needed. She pulled out the first document. This is a standard property transfer. But look at page 7. I put on my reading glasses and read. The paragraph transferred not just my house, but all my assets. My late husband's life insurance, my retirement accounts, the small rental property in Savannah I'd inherited from my mother. Everything would go into a trust controlled solely by Jennifer and Bradley. They can't. Surely this needs to be notarized, witnessed. Look at the signature page. They've been collecting your signatures for months, Mrs. Hartwell. I'd bet money they have several documents with your authentic signature that they've been, let's say, repurposing. My hands shook so badly I had to set the papers down. But Jennifer, she's been so helpful. She said she just wanted to make sure I was taken care of. I'm sure that's what she told you. Amanda's voice was gentle but firm. May I ask, does Bradley have financial problems? I thought about it. I don't really know. Jennifer said he's in real estate development. They always seem comfortable. Amanda pulled up something on her phone and turned it toward me. It was a news article from 6 months ago. Morrison Development files for bankruptcy protection. Investors left in lurch. Bradley's face stared back at me from the photo. The coffee shop seemed to tilt. Oh God, there's more. Amanda pulled out another document. I have a friend who works at Meadowbrook Gardens. That's not an assisted living facility, Mrs. Hartwell. It's a memory care unit. They specialize in severe dementia and Alzheimer's patients. But I don't have. Exactly. But if you're declared incompetent, if Jennifer has power of attorney, she can commit you there. They're one of the few facilities in the state that doesn't require family visitation rights. You could disappear in there, and no one would think twice. I couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. My own daughter, my own child. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. What do you want me to do? Amanda leaned forward. I want you to fight back. I want you to beat them the way I couldn't save my mother. But you have to be smart about this. If they know you suspect something, they'll move faster. I don't know how to fight this. Yes, you do. Amanda's hand covered mine. You're Margaret Hartwell. According to my research, you ran your husband's construction company for 5 years after he died. You're on the board of 3 charities. You're not some helpless old woman, even though they're trying to make you believe you are. Something in her words struck a chord. She was right. When had I started thinking of myself as fragile, as needing to be taken care of? Sometime in the past 6 months, while Jennifer had slowly, carefully convinced me I was declining. What do I do? I asked, and this time my voice was steady. Over the next hour, Amanda and I made a plan. She connected me with her lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Moore who specialized in elder abuse cases. We documented everything. Every signature Jennifer had collected, every financial change made in the past 6 months, every conversation I could remember. You'll need to act normal, Patricia advised when we met the next day in her office. Don't let them know you suspect anything. Can you do that? I thought about dinner that evening with Jennifer and Bradley, about pretending everything was fine while my heart shattered. I can do it. And I did. For 2 weeks, I smiled and nodded. I let Jennifer help me with my medications, but I started palming the new pills she'd introduced a month ago, the ones that made me so foggy. I collected each one in a tissue and hid them in my jewelry box. I let Bradley mansplain my own finances to me while wearing a wire that Patricia had provided. I agreed to tour Meadowbrook Gardens again, and this time I asked questions, real questions, that revealed it was indeed a locked memory care facility. Every night, I cried into my pillow. Every morning, I got up and did it again. The evidence mounted. Jennifer had created fake invoices for home repairs to justify withdrawing money from my accounts. Bradley had forged my signature on loan documents, using my house as collateral for his business debts. They'd even convinced my doctor to note signs of cognitive decline in my medical records. Though when Patricia and I met with him, he admitted Jennifer had coached him on what to write, claiming she was worried about me. We have enough, Patricia said finally. More than enough. The day I was supposed to sign the papers again. The real signing this time, they'd insisted. I arrived at Berkshire Properties with my lawyer, a police detective, and Amanda Chen, who'd testified to what she'd witnessed. Jennifer's face when she saw us all walk in was something I'll never forget. Shock. Fear. Then calculation. Always calculation. Mom, what's going on? Who are these people? These people, I said quietly, are here to witness me pressing charges against you and your husband for elder abuse, fraud, attempted theft, and conspiracy. Bradley tried to run. The detective stopped him. What followed was months of legal proceedings. The evidence was overwhelming. Jennifer and Bradley had planned everything meticulously, except for the one variable they couldn't control. A realtor who'd been through this nightmare before and refused to let it happen again. In the end, they both took plea deals. 3 years of probation, full restitution of every penny they'd taken, and a restraining order, no jail time, which many people didn't understand. But as Patricia explained, the court system is complicated, and sometimes a guaranteed conviction with consequences is better than risking an uncertain trial. The day of their sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and watched my daughter cry. Part of me wanted to comfort her, to tell her it would be okay, but it wouldn't be okay. She'd tried to steal my life, my autonomy, my dignity. She'd been willing to lock me away and forget about me. When the judge asked if I wanted to make a statement, I stood on shaky legs. "I want my daughter to know that I loved her enough to give her life," I said. "And I love her enough now to let her face the consequences of her choices. Maybe someday she'll understand that real love isn't about money or inheritance. It's about integrity. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. I hope she learns that lesson. I really do." Jennifer wouldn't look at me. Afterward, Amanda and I stood on the courthouse steps. The spring sun felt warm on my face. "Thank you," I said simply. "You saved my life." "No," she replied, hugging me tight. "You saved your own life. I just gave you the information you needed." "What happened to your mother?" I asked. "Did they ever face justice?" "No. My aunt died before the case went to trial. The money was gone. Mom's spirit was broken. She looked away, blinking back tears. But maybe saving you, maybe that's a kind of justice too." We became friends after that, Amanda and I. Real friends, not the transactional kind. She introduced me to her book club, her church, her world. Patricia Moore became another close friend. We started a support group for elderly people who'd been victims of financial abuse. We lobbied for stronger protections. We made noise. I never moved into Meadowbrook Gardens. I stayed in my house, the house my husband and I had built together, filled with memories worth keeping. I updated my will, leaving everything to charities and scholarship funds. If Jennifer ever changes, if she ever truly understands what she did, there might be room for forgiveness. But there won't be room for a second chance to betray me. Sometimes, late at night, I still pull out those pills she gave me, the ones that made me foggy and confused. Patricia had them tested. Sedatives, combined with anti-anxiety medication, designed to make me appear cognitively impaired. Every time I look at them, I remember how close I came to losing everything. But I also remember Amanda's whisper, "Don't sign anything yet." 3 words from a stranger that changed my life. People ask me sometimes how I survived the betrayal, how I didn't fall apart when I realized my own daughter had tried to destroy me. The truth is, I did fall apart. I cried until I had no tears left. I raged at God, at fate, at the unfairness of it all. But then I got back up, because that's what we do. We survivors, we get back up. Last week, I got a letter from Jennifer, written from her court-mandated therapy sessions, she claimed. She said she was sorry. She said she'd been desperate, that Bradley had pressured her, that she'd lost sight of what mattered. I haven't written back yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I did forward the letter to Patricia, just in case, because I learned something important through all of this. Trust, once broken, must be earned back slowly and with proof. Not just pretty words. I've also learned to trust my instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. When someone makes you feel small or incapable or foggy, pay attention to that feeling. And if a stranger ever whispers a warning to you in a conference room, for God's sake, listen. Because sometimes angels don't have wings. Sometimes they're just realtors with a folder full of evidence and a mother they couldn't save. Sometimes they save you instead. I'm 70 now. 2 years have passed since that day at Berkshire Properties. I wake up every morning in my own home, make my own coffee, take my real medications, and decide how to spend my own money. I volunteer at the library twice a week. I travel when I want to. I joined a painting class and discovered I'm terrible at it, but I love it anyway. I'm not a victim. I'm not a cautionary tale. I'm a survivor. And every time I see Amanda, every Tuesday when we meet for lunch at our favorite cafe, I'm reminded that the strongest bonds aren't always blood. Sometimes they're forged in coffee shops over folders of evidence, between 2 women who refuse to let the bad guys win. To second chances, Amanda always toasts with her coffee cup. To women who fight back, I reply. And we drink to that, every single time, because we earned it.